Aren't y'all just getting sick and tired of every time a One Piece card has draw one card on it, everyone just says Nami support, Nami support, Nami support, Nami support? I'm getting tired of it too. As a Nami content creator, I think that a lot of people don't understand that there is a big bar to pass to a card actually being playable in Nami. Yes, a card drawing a card is great, right? But there's multiple other things. Does it do anything on the front end? Does it just draw you a card? Does it draw you multiple cards? How much does it cost? Is it searchable by Buggy, Sengoku, Gloriosa, especially coming in 07? How many things does it check off on that box? And I really wanted to bring up this video as a discussion around a recent spoiler. Just came out yesterday. And the card is called Thank You for Loving Me. First of all, the fact that they put this scene on a card, rest in peace, Ace. Holy, what, this put me in the feels, right? But the card is a 1-cost blue event from OP08 that has a Whitebeard pirate type. And it says, you can pay 1, you can activate it, so play it. If your leader has a Whitebeard pirate type or includes that type in it, look at the top 3 cards of your deck and then reveal up to 1 Whitebeard pirate card included in its types, or a Monkey D. Luffy card. Again, rest in peace, Ace. Flavor wise, this is great. And then put that card into your hand, then place the rest at the top or bottom of your deck in any order. And then the triggers draw 1. That's where this comes from. So the whole trigger being draw 1. Now, I will say on the front end, the card is useless. It does nothing. Nami is not a Whitebeard type pirate card. We don't necessarily have any Whitebeard pirates to search for. If we could somehow in the future maybe have a card that gives Nami Whitebeard pirate type, so kind of just thinking about the future proofing of this game, like unless the deck itself like severely changed, like a lot of its big cards like Pilaf, Deathwing, stuff like this just isn't Whitebeard pirates type, so a lot of that is gone off the rip. The trigger draw 1, that is kind of where this conversation starts. There are 3 triggers in the deck that draw you a card. I should say 4 technically. The first one is going to be the draw card off Sanji's Pilaf. Now, Sanji's Pilaf, draw 2 for 3, trigger says draw 2. Fantastic card. Never want to draw it. I honestly just wanted to be triggers. Next card is going to be Impel Down All Stars, which is most comparable to this card because Impel Down is 1 cost and it does nothing on the front end because our leader doesn't have Impel Down type, and then its trigger draws you 2 cards. Now, Impel Down draws you 2 cards. That is double the rate of this card. Double is actually insane. The difference between 1 card is astronomical. Drawing 2 cards is absolutely astronomical versus drawing 1. So that's the first thing. Impel Down on the front end, though, also has an additional cost to casting the card. You can discard a certain amount of cards with it. So that's the powerful aspect of this card. To enable cards like Deathwing and situations with Love Mellow, you can actually just play Impel Down, discard cards from your hand and get no effect on the front end, and then discard just dead cards in your hand that you're not going to be able to play, like other Impel Downs, and remove them from your hand. So there are niche scenarios where the card has upside. This card, Thank You for Loving Me, has none of that, and it only draws you 1. So the card just doesn't do anything then. And in terms of the other cards that draw you cards, I should mention Desert Spada is the other one. It draws 2 on the trigger and discards 1, but it's also a counter on the front end, so great for combat. And then also the other card that technically draws you a card is Usopp's Rubber Band. It trashes a card and draws you a card. So technically that's even better because it goes through 2 cards. You mill a card and you draw a card off that. So the effect is actually great as well. Again, a lot of these effects have to pass a high barrier, and some of these also have effects on the front end and have niche applications, or they're just, again, extremely drawing you 2 cards. And I think this is the frustrating thing I have. It's kind of just been a meme, but I think the fact is that the game is so new still in terms of TCGs and underexplored, and a lot of people are trying Nami for the first time when they come to this game and don't have any other experience with Mill, and they don't understand the high bar that's required to play a deck like Mill, not from a deck building perspective, not from a gameplay perspective, but also from a deck building perspective. A lot of people don't understand that Mill is inherently designed in all card games to be kind of worse than a lot of the primary archetypes, and that's okay. That is okay. We don't need Mill being the best deck in the format, because then there's going to be all these counters to it that you generally cannot answer. It's okay if a deck like this is hopefully playable and competitive, but also maybe not exactly like tier 1 or S tier. That's a good thing. And the same thing exists with Magic the Gathering, where Mill comes from. Coming from the card Mill Stone, it's important that a deck like Nami follows suit to how Mill is being kind of adapted there. So there's a high bar for cards to be able to enter this deck. The cards need to draw cards, they need to mill cards, they need to be a high value counter that provides 4k, 3k, 2k, whatever it might be. Heck, White Snake is a 1k, but it's for the whole battle. So White Snake's absolutely insane because it draws you a card unconditionally on cast, unlike Love Mellow, and it gives you a permanent 1k, which is absolutely insane. So again, having that high value, just because a card draws a card doesn't mean you want to do this. Now, the card that's comparable to this in terms of Thank You for Loving Me, Perfume Fumer, is going to be another card as well. Perfume Fumer is a OPO7 card that has 7 Warlords type and Kuja Pirates type. It does nothing on the front end, but its trigger draws you a card. So for Nami's sake, it does nothing on the front end. And the trigger drawing one is cool, but because if you played in a Sengoku build, you can look it up because it's a 7 Warlords type. You can search for it with Sengoku. And if you're playing in a Gloriosa build, you can also search for it because it's a Kuja Pirates type. So with the Thank You for Loving Me, I don't understand this card because we can't search for it for Whitebeard. So again, people calling it Nami support, you know, again, it's just trolling. But the problem is this trolling is actually seeping into genuine questions. Like, people don't understand why a card like this isn't playable. They're like, oh, we're playing Impel down. It doesn't matter. A card like this is unplayable for so many reasons. There's so many just hoops you have to jump through to make this card work, and it's genuinely not better than the other cards. And that's, again, where blue has been designed, right? Like, Nami has really pushed back blue card design in many ways, and I think that's good, because there should be other leaders like that in each color that restrict design so that we enforce creativity within the design of cards. We can leader lock cards. We can make mill effects unique. We can make draw effects unique. We can make them conditional. Like, maybe we have to say that your leader has to be 8k power or more, then you draw some cards, right? Like, and that forces maybe some Dawn to then be put onto Nami. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, there's ways that you can have draw cards that aren't necessarily leader locked, but have hoops to jump through, right? And I think the creators of this game, the card designers, need to be a little bit more creative. They need to put on their thinking caps and really just push those effects instead of having niche effects like this. I will say though, for Whitebeard decks in general, this is a great effect. You got a little bit of Whitebeard searching top or bottom, and then you get a draw card on it. Honestly, for them, it's great. For the sake of Nami, it's not. Let's just get this out of the way. For all my Nami players out there, I hope this video can just be that much of a guide for you in terms of what is playable, what the bar is. And I hope some of my discussions around other cards and understanding the value that some of those cards have versus a card like this, and how if something just says draw one, it needs to have a bit more, right? It just needs to do a little bit more for it to be effective. It can't just draw a card. It needs to provide a counter. Maybe it's a blocker. Maybe it's searchable. But there's a lot of things that it needs to do just to be playable because the deck list is tight. A lot of the cards in it are in current Nami are really powerful. They do a lot of things. So in order to replace them, especially right now in OPO7 and OPO6, where Buggy's been completely replaced by White Snake in general, like, White Snake is insane. Buggy used to be a search for Deathwing, a search for Brickfist, a search for Impel Down All-Stars. With a card that powerful being replaced by something like White Snake, you have to understand why. Again, the unconditional draw one on the cast, and then the permanent 1k buff on the whole turn. Things like this, really powerful and worth the replacement on the characters. But again, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I just wanted to do this as a bit of a rant around just kind of card evaluation and just how cards enter the foray in Nami spaces. But let me know if I'm maybe taking this too far. Maybe you think this card is playable for some reason. Let me know what you think. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk about some Nami deck building.